Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Emerald Fox, VP of Operations for Zang Enterprises. I'm filling in for Lynette today, so I'm so glad to be here. Lynette is gallivanting across the globe. She's spreading the good news about sound money and the benefits of getting into gold and silver. She's at the Nomad Capitalist event in Malaysia. We are so excited for her and some of our team members that are with her. Lots of really exciting things happening, lots of really cool speakers there. One included is Steve Wozniak, which is a really exciting thing to be included with some of these other awesome speakers. I'm going to go ahead and let you know that I could never fill the shoes of our great Lynette Zang with the fountain of knowledge that she provides us. Today's Q&A is going to be a little bit shorter because I don't think I'll be able to answer everybody's questions, but I am going to do my best. Bear with me. I am very nervous. I've never done this before, so I'm going to do my best and make sure I can answer as many questions as possible. We're going to go ahead and start off with some questions that we get from the previous lives, as well as some questions that we get a lot in our YouTube, across our socials, and that we get from consultations from our clients that call in too. So we've got some questions already prepared today, but please place your questions in the chat, and if we can get to them, we absolutely will. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. All right, so first one we've got here is from a Michael. He says, Lynette, what are the rules you are governed by as far as reporting sales of sound money as a precious metals dealer? That is a great question. We get this all the time. Now, when we sell our precious metals, we actually don't have any reporting requirements, and that is only when you go to sell your coins, and that is specific to bullion coins. Now, we would only report certain types of sales. It depends on the amount. There's all these different rules and regulations. We do have some guidance, but we would always recommend that you reach out to your tax advisor when it comes to anything tax related. We're not tax advisors. You're going to want to speak to an accountant about that, but we do have some guidance, about the 1099 ICTA that is provided on what bullion coins and how much you would need to be able to, or that you would need to report if you're liquidating. So you're more than welcome to reach out to one of our specialists to ask about that if you're looking to liquidate. It's something that Zang Enterprises can absolutely help you with, whether you bought from us or not. We are happy to help you. On those pre-1933 coins, there is no reporting done by us at all, and we will always say that all citizens pay their fair share in taxes. So I hope I answered your question. If you do have more and you need some more clarification, give us a call. We'd be happy to help you out with that. Our strategy specialist can talk, but otherwise, again, reach out to your tax advisor. Next question. How much does it cost for services at Zang Enterprises? That is such a good question, one that we get a lot, because we do offer so much time and education that we want you to be able to make the best decisions possible for you. Now, our services are free. We do it all because we believe in getting the education out that you and yours need to make, the best decisions for yourself. I mean, Lynette says it all the time. How many times can you be lied to when you don't know, the information, and you don't know what you don't know, right? And you can't make the best decisions, the best educated decisions for yourself and your family and your friends if you don't have the knowledge. So we do that, service completely for you, for the benefit of our clients and for all those, that we can reach. So all those services are completely free. There's no charges until you actually make a purchase, if and when you're ready. Okay. All right. Our next question. Let's see. Do you sell Bitcoin? Another great question. We do not. We stand by the firm belief if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Now, we're, not against Bitcoin. However, it's just, in our opinion, not the best option for you. If you don't hold it in your possession, if you don't have access to it, what happens? It's not to say that it isn't, another option for diversification, but whatever you put in one asset, we would recommend insuring in gold and silver. Protect what you have, regardless if it's in the markets or if it's, in crypto or stocks, bonds, annuities, whatever it is. I would always recommend that you hold the equivalent in weight that you would need in fundamental value to protect that asset or debt or whatever it is. But yeah, we do not sell Bitcoin. Let's see. What is the buyback rate at Zang Enterprises? Another great question. We are always happy to disclose this right up, first and foremost, if that's really important to you, and the possible liquidation. That's a big part of Zang Enterprises, is holding our clients' hands through all the way to the exit strategy. It's something that you may or may not find at other precious metals dealers. Now, our buyback policy is on bullion. It's just the bid price. Whatever that bid price is for that, for that specific coin or bar or whatever it is that you're selling, there's no additional buyback policy. For our pre-1933 numismatic coins, there's a 28% buyback spread, and on your semi-numismatic coins, common deeds raw, that's going to be a 20% buyback rate. Let's see here. Next question. If I call and book a session, will I get to meet Lynette? So, such a popular question. We get this all the time. You may have an option to meet Lynette. If you call on a Monday, she might be in the office. However, Lynette is not client facing. She does so much time and energy on getting you the best education through the YouTube, and as well as all of her speaking engagements, like right now in Malaysia. She is a busy woman who wants to make sure that she gets as much information as possible to everyone out there. So this is her first and foremost. This is where she's spending most of her time. We do occasionally have the opportunity to have her stop and say hi if you're on a Zoom call or on a phone call with one of our strategy specialists in office and she's around. She would absolutely love to stop in and say hi and, answer a question or two. But no, you aren't able to book directly with Lynette. It would be your strategy specialist, who are all trained continually by Lynette herself. So, she comes in each Monday. She has the opportunity to see our strategy specialist, but they also have continuing education with her. So they get to sit in and talk about what they're hearing from their clients, or if they're stumped on a certain question, because things are ever changing, right? We're always seeing more and more things happening in the economy. And she and her wealth of knowledge from studying currency life cycles for as long as she has, she has a better, a quick understanding of how to recognize those currency life cycles changes and how to handle that and what are those patterns. So they are consistently asking her about things that we're seeing, things that are changing, what's happening, with 401ks and the real estate market. And she's able to identify those patterns and be able to speak to those things. So they're consistently sitting down and talking over those questions that our clients come to us with all the time. So they're completely up to date and able to, work with her on a regular basis. So know that when you call in and speak to a strategy specialist, you're not just getting the hand-holding from that strategy specialist. Lynette is also here to impart wisdom on those questions as well. Okay?
A quick note here, Emerald. Mm-hmm. There's some comments about the volume coming through. So will you move the microphone just a little closer to your face? There we go.
How's this? Better? All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. Let's go on to our next question. What makes you different from other gold dealers? This is really important. And again, I would bring it back to the education piece. We spend so much time putting together our pieces. Lynette, she formally curates these things time after time. Everything that she sees, everything that she's learned, the years and the knowledge that goes into that, it's profound. And how much we care, and Lynette cares. She's the core. She's the core of our company, right? And how much time and energy she puts into that free education for the global community, the global sound money community, right? I would say that is our first and foremost objective, is making sure, again, that you can make educated decisions for you and yours. And that's the number one thing that makes us the most different. But I would say the number two is the strategy, which is a form of education, of course. But beyond that, it's a way to get yourself educated on what you actually need. It's the way to figure out, a breakdown. What are your monthly expenses? What are the assets that you're holding? What debts do you have that need protecting? We really use that to figure out, what metals, based on your goals and hopes and dreams, and what do you want to do? What are you looking to protect or build? There's so much time that goes into that. Spending time and figuring out what is most important to you. And that strategy that Lynette built for herself is utilized across every conversation, every Zoom call with every client. And this brings me to number three, is that relationship piece. The relationship that's built with our clients is it's a beautiful thing, but it's so important, because we can't help you make the best decisions for yourself if we don't truly get to know you, and get to know what you're looking to protect. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing, right? Is making sure that you have sound financial freedom and are able to protect yourself. And that's the relationship piece. And this brings me to number 4, which is part of that relationship, that exit strategy. Who is going to walk you through and tell you how that liquidation process, that buyback process, what that looks like, and how to choose. If you have an emergency and your emergency savings has been wiped out, but you have, that gold there to protect yourself, and you need help quick to get that liquidated. Who's going to do that? Who's going to help you pick and choose? I was just on the phone with a client the other day who wanted to know, how is she going to pick? Which coin? And those are the things that our strategy specialists know. They know how to walk you through which one is going to be the best for you for this time. Make sure that you're getting the best amount for what you're looking for. Who's going to walk you through that? That's the relationship piece, the exit strategy. I would say those 4 things make us infinitely different than most of the, especially the major gold and silver companies, precious metals dealers, those 4 things. So again, that's the education, Lynette at its core. You've got our strategy, the relationship, and the exit strategy as well. All right, our next question. Do I get to see my coins before a purchase? No, we do not keep, for security and privacy reasons, we do not keep our gold and silver in-house on property at our brick and mortar location in downtown Phoenix. We again, it's fully a security reason, and you're not able to see them on our new website. We will have actual pictures of those, and we are currently working on getting those all nice and tidy for you right now, so that once we launch, you will be able to see those coins or bars, depending on what you're purchasing. But no, we don't keep anything in-house. That would make us a target, I believe, especially since we are out there on the internet talking about what we do, and holding that kind of inventory in store would be dangerous and a definite liability. So
I'd like to chime in and share my experience. I recently bought gold. Riley was the agent that helped me, and she was very good at asking me, going back to that previous question as well. She was like, what are your goals? Like, what is the gold and silver going to be used for? And so I told her, like, if there is a collapse, I want to be able to pay off my home, be able to pay for my property taxes. And she's like, okay, super. And so we discussed a dollar amount that I was willing to spend. And then she walked me through, okay, this coin at this year and this grade will be able to help, do these things to pay off the home or at least pay it down. And then she's like, and these other coins, like the $2.50 Indian coin, she was walking me through the coin, the year, the grade, the purpose for which it will be used, after the collapse.
Absolutely.
And so, like, it is a huge, like, it opened my eyes to how practical and how knowledgeable, like, our people are here at Zang Enterprises. And they walk you through it. Like, if you don't have a mortgage, they'll say, where do you want to go? Do you want to get a new property? And that's, what Lynette talks about, these income producing assets. Like, there is a full, like, vetted process, a strategy, and it's cool to see them walk you through it. And although they don't have, like, the coins to come in and look at physically, like, I was able to look up and Google everything that Riley was telling me, because there was, like, literally everything, and I could see the value and everything. So, like, although it would be cool to have it physically, like Emerald is saying, like, that's a liability for us to have and to hold at that time, but they give you enough information that you can look it up on your own, and then with the new website, they'll have all that information that we can reference. And so it is a really cool process to go through. And if you haven't yet, I encourage you to call in and just see and talk through what your goals are and how we can help you and the coins that will get you there.
Absolutely. And I think when you reference looking those coins up elsewhere, I mean, you can look up and compare prices wherever you want to. However, you can easily go on the PCGS website and see, those last found values of those coins. So it's really interesting to be able to go through that and, compare. Every dealer is going to have their own premium on a coin, and that's individual per item or per type of item, and that amount is the cost of doing business, right? That's the the difference between what you can find at wholesale versus at retail value, but you can definitely make those comparisons. So absolutely great point, and a great way to start looking into it. All right, next question we have is, what is a good starter gold? Now, this question is so particular to where you're at. And because when you say starter, I wonder what your position is. And that's such a testament to who we are at Zang Enterprises, because I would need to know, what kind of funds are you looking to put into that? What's your budget? And where are you in the markets? And like I mentioned earlier, and this is a full strategy. Do you have a business? Do you have a home? Do you have car loans? Do you have student loans? To say a starter gold is so specific to your situation. But if you are young and you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a high income, but you have been, you have like a savings account and you're looking to, kind of just hedge that, I would probably put you in a pre-1933 Mint State 62 $20 Liberty or something, something that is somewhat affordable, but or something higher if it's a higher amount as far as grading, or if you have a lower amount to work with and you just want to start stacking. I would, start filling your, strategy bit by bit. So I would say, yes, starter gold is great, but you also need your barterable silver. So maybe getting you a little bit of those constitutional pre-1965 dimes to get you some barterability, and then maybe get you some raw gold or some common dates that are at a lower budget, price point to get you started with some gold. However, again, it really matters where you're at. When you say starter, it just depends. We've got to look at everything for you. And if you're not interested in the strategy, just call in give us your, what budget are you looking to work with? Because, we can kind of manage that for you. And then if later you're interested in a strategy, we've already got, what you've purchased and what you've ordered based out for you. It's already laid out for you. So it's really where you're looking to begin and what your goals are and what you have to put into and really what you're looking to protect. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. What are you looking to protect? Because again, gold is an investment, yes, but we look at it as an insurance, right? It's insurance to protect something, just like you would buy homeowner's insurance when you buy a home, right? You may never need it, but you'll be sure glad you did when you need, a new AC or a new roof, right? Same thing. If we have a recession or a currency collapse or a reset, you'll be so glad you did. So
I think that goes in like hand in hand with what Lynette always says too. Like, what if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? Like, if you're right, you have precious metals that hold their value that you can cash in to pay for the things that you need to survive and to thrive. And if she's wrong, congrats, you hold precious metals that you can cash in and get your money back like at a higher rate. So it's like there really is no downside in precious metals. And I think one thing that has stood out to me is that like there's not like the threshold for entry with Zang Enterprises is low. And we work with anybody on any budget, and it doesn't take a lot to get started. And as you continue to develop your knowledge and the value of precious metals and the purpose and the use of them, then like you grow, you save, and you just go onward and upward for, the impending reset. And then again, like if Lynette is right, you're prepared. And if if she's wrong, congrats, like you have precious metals.
You just made some more money, right? Yeah,
so
exactly.
there's no downside. So that's one thing that I really have learned a lot about.
Right.
In
And
just being here.
It's such a good point too. And along the lines of what you said, that, as far as, anyone being able to get started, we really do make that available because we want everyone to have the chance to get into gold and silver. I mean, it's so important. And again, I've been working with Lynette now for nearly 5 years, not quite. And I knew nothing about this industry before I got in. I mean, my grandparents had gold and silver. What more did I know? I mean, I literally had no knowledge. Currency lifecycles, I knew nothing about that before. And I've learned so much in these last few years from her, especially, working with clients and building their strategies out and being able to figure out what people actually need, right? We don't want to sell to you. We want to help you to figure out what you need, right? It's so much more than that. And you really learn, how the community can really be built because there's so much more to it. There's barterability, learning what you can give back to the community, right? So whether you're a chicken farmer or you're good in the garden or you have an apartment, but you've got, tomatoes on your balcony, whatever it is, everybody's got something to share. They've got gifts to provide. And when you're set up to protect yourself with even just a little bit of barterability, whether it's, even just bullion, gold and silver, or the junk silver for trading in, a dime or a quarter for some eggs, you're protected. At the end of the day, again, you're just protected. But when we say it's for everybody, right? We have no minimum at Zang Enterprises. It's a silver ounce, right? And that is something that you just don't see. I should have probably included that earlier when you asked what's the difference between us and other precious metals dealers, but that is a big one. Our minimums are different for most states, it's a $1,000 minimum. For California, I believe it's $2,000 currently. And for New York, it's $5,000 minimum with free shipping. That's with free shipping. If you don't pay if you don't want to do those high of amounts, there's a $20 shipping fee. So that's the only difference, right? And you could get one gold coin, like a small raw gold coin just to get started, just to test it out. I know a lot of people are hesitant because they're scared. They're scared. There's lots of scammers out there. You do need to be careful, but you can just get some dimes, right, to start, because we don't have that minimum. We want to make it easy for every single person to have sound money. So good point.
One of the comments that I see the most in these chats for the lives is they're like, oh, I wish I would have started stacking years ago. Now that I found, Zang Enterprises, all this knowledge and blah, 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 blah. Like, there's a lot of regret about not having done it sooner. But again, that saying that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Right.
But the next best time is today. And so whatever the budget, we accommodate, we can allow you to get your foot in the door in the precious metals game, and then you just scale.
So important.
Right? Like Lynette says, no one really knows when the collapse or the reset will happen. But you might as well start today. Start today. Start preparing for your future, And, if you can only get the silver ounce, get the silver ounce, and just continue to do so, because that will put you still yet in a better barterable position and a better position to preserve your wealth than if you just sit on your hands and do nothing.
Perfectly put. Yes. All right. Next question. Do I have to purchase in my first meeting? I wanted to say something on this earlier too, when we were talking about your journey with purchasing, Josh, and learning so much. No. The answer, simply put, no, absolutely not. And I would honestly urge you not to. I know that may sound crazy as someone who works for a company who works in sales, but I think it's so important to listen and hear, because you don't know what you don't know. I think the education that is provided, let's talk. Let's make sure that you fully understand, what the benefits are. What are, is there a shortfall? What are you able to do? What's going on in the economy? What has happened in the history of our economy or the global economy that would urge us to, get into these precious metals? And I would definitely work on building that strategy out with your strategy specialist and really get that knowledge so that you are so comfortable with the decision that you made, because again, it goes back to that relationship. We want to make sure that you're happy and that you fully understand, because it can be so confusing. Lynette talks about it all the time, the nominal confusion that's out there. I mean, they want it to be confusing for us, right? I mean, I didn't know anything about finance or, I made my fair share of mistakes and got into some holes and had to dig my way out of it once and learned through that process. But boy, was that difficult. I mean, it was tough. And, they don't teach us those things. We don't learn those things in schools. That, we should advocate for it. Absolutely. And that's the thing that, we're going to be even, starting to do some things to gear towards children to start learning about sound money and things or at a younger age. And it's so important. You've got to learn. You've got to have the education before you can just make any, jumps and leaps of faith. It's not encouraged. So I would definitely recommend. I mean, if you've done your due diligence, then absolutely, you're more than welcome to. Absolutely, of course. But I would definitely urge you to spend the time with your strategy specialist to learn what it is that we do and how can we help you best prepare. Next question. How do I get in touch or schedule an appointment? Oh boy, we have got so many ways for you to get in touch with us, including the QR code that comes up on the screen, our link in the description below. On our website, you can click, it's in the top right-hand corner of the screen. You can see the, request an appointment or book an appointment, whatever it says. There's a button there and it has a pop-up. You can schedule an appointment there. There are booking links on our social accounts, all of them. So there's stuff on, again, the YouTube, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are, we have a link for you and you can feel free to schedule, or the easiest, simplest way is pick up the phone and you can give us a call. Josh, will you put up the number for everybody to see? And again, they can scan the QR code and, click the link to schedule. But if you want to just give us a call, so easy. But our website is here. It's listed, the LynetteZang.com. That's the easiest way. You can pick a date and a time that works best for you, and you get paired with one of our strategy specialists. It's that simple. And, best time to get started. Go ahead and do it now. All right. So our next question is, where do I keep my gold once I have it? And this is so important because, again, we say it's if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So there's several options. We do on our website under the education tab. You can go on our website, LynetteZang.com, and then you'll navigate to education. There is a little tab on the left that says where to store my precious metals. That is a really great resource for you to check out. There's so many different options. Some of them are a little bit wilder than others, but some people build things into the kick plates, of their cabinets. Some people put them under the stairs. Some people dig holes in their backyard. Some people have, a safe in a private room. There's so many options. It's completely up to what you feel safe doing. You want to make sure it's safe and secure, but somewhere where you can easily access. And I think that Lynette would speak to that quite frequently. Make sure that should anything happen, you have quick access to it, which again is why it's so important to hold it close to you, nearby. If you don't want to hold it in your own home, like if you're in an apartment building, you don't feel safe having it there. Who knows what's going to happen? The world is a crazy place today. There are private vaults that you can go to, which are a great option. There are fees included in that. But we personally at Zang Enterprises have a great partnership with the vault in Tempe here. We have a lot of clients who love keeping their things in private storage. That's a vault that's not in their home. So, we will make it easy for you. We'll talk you through that, whatever's best for you, but definitely close to you, nearby, somewhere safe that you feel safe and secure holding it there. And I hope I clarified that. Again, you can go to our website, LynetteZang.com, and click on the education tab. We've got a bunch of places listed there for you. So that's always a great resource. What metals does Zang Enterprises sell? We've got a lot of different metals, you guys. We've got lots of different options. Of course, our favorite and the ones that we, think are the best for you are going to be your pre-1933 collectible gold coins. Those are the numismatics. We've got all sorts of dates prior to 1933. You've got your $20, your $10, your $5. We've got Liberties and St. Gaudens. Then we've got common dates, raw and foreign gold coins. Those are Indians, $10 Liberty heads, $5 Indians, francs, roosters, sovereigns. And then we've got bullion as well. You've got your pre-1965 constitutional junk silver. You've got your dimes, quarters, $50, what have you. And then you've got Morgans, Peace. And then you've got, as far as, the bullion, gold and silver, we've got our Morgan, or I already said that. We've got our American Gold Eagles, Buffaloes, Canadian Maple Leaves. We've got Kangaroos and Austrian Philharmonics. I mean, we've got lots of different options for you. So just give us a call and we'll walk you through what we have available. And based on, what you're looking for, if you have short-term goals or long, the pre-1933s, I would always recommend and stress that they are a long-term hold. If you have, short-term goals, there's different gold for that. So make sure to call your strategy specialist and really check in with them. But they'll be able to walk you through all of that quite easily. Next question. All right, we've got, do you use accountants to create a client plan? And give some examples, please. All right. No, we don't. And again, like I mentioned earlier at the very beginning of this live, we are not tax advisors and we don't have accountants on hand to help our clients. That would be at, you would need to source that out yourself. And we'd be happy to, talk to you about it. However, we're not going to give any guidance because, we're not licensed to provide that information. So we'll walk you through what our recommendations are, and then we leave it to you to make the best decisions for yourself. So no, we don't. All right, Gloria says, regarding YouTube and banning certain folks, are there backup plans like Discord or Telegram? Gloria, thank you for that question. We do get it quite often. I know a lot of us are, worried about, what gets taken down or what we're allowed to say these days. We have had discussions about things like Rumble and whatnot. We do also have our other social platforms that we will always continue to post on. That's like I mentioned earlier, we've got TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and, lots of other options. We have discussed Rumble. There was a concern about owning our own content on Rumble. So, that kind of made us take a little step back because we want to make sure that, we've got all the rights to our own stuff that we create for you guys. So it's definitely on the table. It's something that we maybe should revisit since you guys are thinking about it. But I'll get with the team and we'll work through it and see if we can't share elsewhere too for a backup plan. I believe we are. Josh, can you say, are we posting our videos on podcast sites as well? Or did we put a pin in that?
I think we put a pin in it until we can get the office finished and get things official that way. So
cool. Yes. So eventually we will be adding that on as well, which is another great opportunity. We have posted things in the past. So I do believe you can still access that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, our old stuff, but nothing new currently. But keep an eye out, stay tuned, stay on this road and this journey with us because, we've got lots of opportunity coming up in the future. So thanks for your question, Gloria. All right, PB says, can Australians send our bullion coins to you to exchange for U.S. bullion coins for a fee? Could that work for those of us who own bullion? So I wouldn't recommend it. We would happily, we could definitely help you with the liquidation. We don't currently ship internationally, so we couldn't do an exchange right now. Hopefully sometime in the future. Of course, we are, definitely hoping to, have global services in the future, but currently we do not ship internationally. So no, I would not recommend sending anything in for a liquidation with us. You would probably get the best price as well for those bids from, whoever you purchased with or someone locally. And again, I probably wouldn't recommend it if you're going to exchange or what we call a conversion for the bullion. I would probably get you set up with a strategy so you can figure out what would be best, especially in Australia, and what your options are there. But I probably wouldn't do a bullion trade for bullion. So, but that's something that you would need to talk to a strategy specialist out and really walk through it and figure out what your goals are. Alrighty, our next question is from Keenan. He says, how much of a premium is on average to convert gold eagles to pre-1933? Alrighty, that's a great question. Currently, I believe, I looked at spot price yesterday. I haven't looked at it today, but I believe yesterday ended somewhere around $3,678 or something like that. So how you find the premium for that price is you would actually subtract the spot price from the gold price to figure out what that premium is, and it differs per coin. I don't know what the actual difference is currently, what Zang Enterprises is selling it at. I'd have to take a look at our sales sheet, but you can absolutely reach out to one of our strategy specialists and they can help you figure that out. It's always a great, it's just a really great thing to look into to do a possible conversion. Because if you're sitting on a lot of American gold eagles, it's a great option for a coin, but I would urge you to look into the pre-1933 gold based on, what we've seen in the past with confiscation and, even if you do a partial amount of your eagles, looking to convert that and maybe holding some of those gold eagles for a short term, as well as the pre-1933 for a long term. So again, reach out to a strategy specialist and they can walk you through that, especially with the pricing, because I'm not super up to date and I don't want to give you any inaccurate information. All right. Next question is from Sunday Money. He says, do you believe Costco should get in the business of buying gold? What a wonderful question. I love hearing about these other massive retailers buying and selling gold. I don't know that they're truly buying back. I don't think they offer liquidation services, but I wouldn't know. I don't work with them, and I haven't tried. So I don't know if they have a buyback policy or any of that. We can look into that and talk about it next week. But I do want to mention that Costco, Amazon, Walmart, all of these big retailers selling gold is so important. It's so indicative of the movement that is happening and the shift in people's minds, understanding that based on historic evidence and what we've seen in the past, that people run to gold in times like this. And, the sound money movement is so important. And it's why we here at Zang Enterprises are, a part of Citizens for Sound Money. And we want to get the message out there. People need to get into sound money to protect themselves, but not only, to, make sure that the governments are held accountable, right? When you can turn in a gold coin for the value of it, and hold them accountable so that there's, they're one-to-one, right? Versus the crazy difference that there is right now. So it's so important, but I think getting the message out there is something that Costco, Walmart, Amazon, all these companies that are selling gold like this, to average consumers who know nothing about the gold and silver industry is so important, because it just shows you what we've seen and what we know, that people run to gold in times like this. Okie dokie. Mark says, how do you feel about Goldbacks and silverbacks? Wonderful question. Goldbacks, I personally, and I do know, I believe that Lynette, I don't want to speak for her, but it's just another form of bullion gold, right? So it's new, and that's for the gold. I don't know much about silverbacks. However, it's going to contain an amount of gold or silver in them, which is, just a fraction of what you would see in an ounce, right? I think it's just another form of diversification and getting into smaller denominations of gold and silver. So absolutely, to fill your barterable position, absolutely. I think they're a great stepping stone too, for especially the younger generation. Maybe don't have a lot of income yet. That's a great way to step into the world of getting sound money. It's a starter position though. I wouldn't say that, having a ton, would be beneficial. That's where the rest of the strategy comes in. But absolutely, I mean, definitely a great stepping stone, or, getting a small amount to protect that barterable position, among other things that fill that barterable position. Yes, I would definitely recommend it as an option. And DL Blue 65 says, if you were going to buy a house in the next 2 or so years, would you still be saving in pre-1933 gold versus gold bullion? Such a great question. I love this question because it's so important, especially to the younger generation, people that are looking into getting into a home, which is so unbelievably difficult today with interest rates and the pricing of these homes is just outlandish. But I would say in the next 2 years, I would probably do a combination, and it depends on, the type of income that you have. Pre-1933 is so important to have and to hold, period. The gold bullion, I would say, because it's still a long-term hold, but pre-1933 gold is definitely a long-term hold. You've got to hold that for a long time to, reap the benefits of that investment / insurance. But gold bullion, because there's no buyback, that premium's lower. I would definitely look into saving some gold bullion for, cashing that in for a down payment on a home. So it's definitely a great option. And again, that's something that you can walk through with a strategy specialist. They could really explain that to you, especially depending on how much you're looking to spend, right? Like they can do the breakdown. What's that fundamental value of gold that you would need in each weight, right? Maybe do a little, like I said, a little bit in the bullion to make sure that the fundamental value can cover that down payment, and then the rest of that portfolio in, some the remaining of whatever you have to protect in, pre-1933's numismatics. All right, how are we doing on time?
Good, we've got 15 minutes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we've got a few more questions, 15 minutes. Is All About Health says, what about silver? Also collectible? Is it the same years? Okay, great question. No. So silver changed in 1964. Anything minted after that, so 1965 and beyond, those are going to be the years where our silver became not silver, right? Like that silver no longer, it's about 75% copper and 25% nickel, and that was changed in 1965. So anything prior to that, I would say, is going to be that's your junk silver, that's your more collectible. However, that is your barter position, and it's so good to have some of that to make sure that you have those smaller denominations. I know I mentioned it earlier, but if you're going to buy some some eggs at the store or a loaf of bread, you don't want to have like a big American gold eagle or American silver eagle that costs a lot more than what your actual item is. So if you needed to trade that in, and they're not going to give you change for that, right? So having those smaller denominations on hand is so important for a barterable position, especially in a situation where that's all we have, and that's all that people will take because our currency is completely devalued, or there's zeros lopped off, etc. So definitely having that junk silver is so important. But no, it's not the same years. The pre 1933 collectible gold coins, that is from Executive Order 6102, when Roosevelt made it illegal to own certain gold, and certain items of gold like jewelry and other collectible coins like those pre-1933 coins, some of them were exempt from that, but he made it illegal to own other gold, and collected all of that from the people and made them cash it in for a value of 26 or so of some odd dollars, and then immediately overnight one day just change the value of it to 36 or 30 something odd dollars. I'd have to look at those exact numbers, but change that overnight, just shorting all the American people. So completely different years, different times, but yes, both important. All right. Tim says, if we switch to an all-digital currency system and real-world assets are getting tokenized eventually, our physical gold becomes ... So it's a great question. However, if our assets are tokenized, like real estate, artwork, things that we've talked about, previously. I know I did a video, and Lynette as well, on this. Yes, they're looking to tokenize those items, but physical gold still remains, right? Like it's still there. It's still a physical item, and there's still a value to it. It continues to grow. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's still there. It still holds value. It's there are applied uses as well as the collectible, the historic value of something, based on rarity and quality. So yeah, it's still going to remain. That's why I think physical gold is so important, because if they do tokenize those items, there will be. I mean, it reminds me of like a gold stock or like a mining stock, right? That seems like a physical asset being tokenized. However, it doesn't hold the value like physical gold does, because if the stock market crashes, well, what has value still? The physical gold. If our dollar is completely devalued and the stock market is just obliterated, right? Your mining stock is worthless because you don't hold physical value. It's not what Lynette would say as redeemable, right? You can't trade that in for that physical gold, which is, again, going to hold its value. Alrighty. Matt looks like he's got a question from previous weeks. When shopping for sterling out and about at thrifty markets, like Lynette does with all her little antiques here, What methods do you use on the fly to check if the item is genuine silver? This is so fun because Lynette and I actually did a video on this. And it was, we only tested, I believe, maybe I think we did some rings, some jewelry, and a couple coins. We had some fake coins and some real coins. But we have, I think, 2 or 3 videos on this on our website. So I definitely recommend checking it out, excuse me. But it was so much fun. But I would recommend getting that ping test. There's actually a phone app. A lot of people in the comments mentioned it too, so maybe check that out. There's an app where it will analyze the sound.
So that's why it's important to
there's
test.
our video.
Do you want to look at it here for a second?
Sure.
So this is the video that Lynette and Emerald made. So we're going to put that up for everybody so they can take a look at it and see what they did for that.
Pages of the ping test. I get it. Pocket pinger.
That looks pretty centered to me. Okay, fingers crossed. That was a ping.
Yeah. Grab another test and try it out.
Magnets.
Like a magnet.
Those were from my dog's collars.
Whoa.
To get in it. Well, they're
hefty.
big dogs.
Yes, that's true.
Right? And it's a big doggy door, so it's a magnetic doggy door.
All right. What would you like to try first? Chopstick?
Yeah, my world famous
The
chopstick.
infamous chopstick.
That's perfect.
Why don't you put it down and then try to pick it up with it? Yeah.
That's probably a better
Right,
idea.
well you can't because gold and silver are non-magnetic.
There it is.
So it's easy enough to just hold that on, keep a magnet in your pocket if you're going out. You got your ping test, you got your magnet.
I will
Try
say we did get a lot of comments when we talked about this previously on a Gee Whiz episode, not to carry these in your pockets because oftentimes people
they
carry
their
phone in
phones.
their pocket. So do
got
not
it.
carry it in your pocket. Maybe have like a separate
A purse
spot.
or a man bag.
A man bag. Yes, a satchel, as you will. Just so you're not getting rid of the credit cards, that mag strip.
Oh, this is a very good point. Okay, so don't hold it in your pocket. Don't hold it in your pocket. Let's try the fake.
Let's try fake silver coin. We go into a bunch more stuff there, and we used some other forms of testing. Like we had an actually very expensive machine that it's like a technology scale that's meant to test metals, and you can like choose which metal you have, what kind of coin, if it's a pre-1933 or if it's American Gold Eagle or whatever, you can actually choose that and it will tell you if it's real or not. And that was so fun. And then there's also like I said, the ping test, and you can get an app on your phone, which we didn't currently have, so we were literally just listening to it, by ear, if you will. And then there's also, you can, I don't know if you saw it in the video, but there was some chemicals on the table. There's another test that you put it on this little slate slab and put these chemicals, these little liquids, and then you scratch the metal, and depending on if it's real or not, or the quantity, like how much it is, you can kind of tell based on what the liquid did and what colors are on there. So it's really fascinating. I recommend you check it out. Those are great options for checking if something's real if you're antiquing. Also, another option is to take something in. Like if you're antiquing for silver, something like that, like I would recommend taking it to antique store, maybe getting it appraised, see what they say, because that is such a great option. If you don't want to like damage something, highly recommend doing that, especially for jewelry. You don't want to just completely ruin something. So definitely check that out. Maybe go to a local shop. All right. Christian says, 12K gold prediction from Peter Schiff. What is your silver prediction? Thank you. Now, this one is fully directed at Lynette, and we don't have a crystal ball, but I think based on, patterns, Lynette would have a little bit better answer for you than I would, and given how long she's been in this industry. But, again, we don't have a crystal ball, so even a prediction is just that, right? It's just a prediction, so I can't comment on that, but that's a great question. We'll write that down. I think, Jessica, you can, save that one for later, and we'll ask Lynette what she thinks and see what she comments. Okay. Another question from DL Blue 65. I am going to the UK tomorrow, and I'm curious how I would travel with a gold coin. Just put it with my cash/coins. When do I have to declare it? only if valued over 10K? Great question. However, the UK specifically, I think we had looked into this previously, and it was something about $10,000 in cash value. So, again, this is something that is so important for you to check on your local customs or wherever you're flying. I don't want to say what you can or can't do. However, I know in the US and in a lot of places, it's the monetary face value of something. So if you're carrying like a $20 pre-1933 numismatic gold coin, you're declaring $20, right? If you have to declare, if it's not up to that monetary value of $10,000, you don't have to declare that. But again, I would always check with wherever you're traveling and what that looks like. Don't just trust somebody on the internet. Make sure that you look into the local customs wherever you're traveling. Cool.
On that point too, Lynette and I are talking about, there's a international trip that we have coming up with Zang Enterprises, and what we've discussed is I don't want to say push the envelope because it sounds nefarious, but like we're gonna test the limit, and we're gonna travel with gold and see if the agents understand, if they enforce, how they enforce, and we're gonna take like we talked about, taking the Meta Ray-Ban glasses just to see if they do stop, if they ask any questions, if it's face value, if it's like actual value. So Lynette is always about getting the answers, and so that is one thing that we are in the works of doing in an international travel trip, and seeing just what exactly is on paper for the rules, and
what actually happens.
Because the two are always
not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, they should be the same, but they're not always. So that's something that we're excited to do and put out for you guys here coming soon. So
Yay.
Stay tuned on that.
Stay tuned, and that's just going to be something to stay tuned for regardless, because I believe you're referring to our trip to Panama, right? Oh, very exciting. It should be really awesome. So we met with somebody from Atlas Vaults. Very exciting, really cool conversation. So definitely stay tuned, because I think there's going to be a lot of good news that comes out of that. Like-minded and really cares about the sound money movement. So stay tuned. All right, I think I can ask one last question here. This seems like we've got about 2 minutes left. So this last question is from Linvas. Sorry if I said that wrong. Hey, Lynette, have you read about Ohio lawmakers are pushing a bill that would let utilities lock you out of your own thermostat during high demand? That's wild. Yeah, absolutely wild. I would say, I have not heard about it. I don't know if Lynette has heard about it. Maybe she's much more in the news than I am. However, oh wow. Okay. Josh is pulling something up here. Oh goodness. Okay. Ohio bill. This is Fox 8. Ohio bill would let utilities create optional programs to control customers' thermostats to reduce energy use. That is bonkers to me. Oh my goodness. Wow. And it's definitely a dad pushing this, right? Making sure the family doesn't always change it whenever they want. But I don't know. That's wild. I would go to your local legislators and make sure that doesn't pass, because I need it at my temperature control. My husband would probably say something different. So, no, we should be able to control how we run our own homes, in my opinion. But, wild. I haven't heard about that. Thank you for pointing that out. Again, this is something that highlights why it's so important to get into things like sound money and community, because you want to get to know those people around you and make sure that everyone's protected and taken care of. And this is just something that I truly don't believe in. I think that controlling our thermostats is bonkers. So yeah, definitely get in touch with those local lawmakers. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you bared with me there, because again, I was so nervous, but I think we had fun here today. If you didn't get your question answered, I'd love to, get back to you on that, and we'll definitely look through the chat and see if we can't add to it next week.
we took down all the questions that we didn't get to today, and then we're gonna start off with those questions next week. So if you didn't hear your question answered today, tune in again next week, and we'll answer those for you on the live.
Make sure that you, thank you, Josh, make sure that you like, subscribe, share if you liked this content. We are all about, again, that sound money movement and getting everybody involved and educated so that they can better protect themselves and their families. And like Lynette always says, we can make a positive impact in this world if we just stick together. So until next time, guys, stay safe and stay smart. Thank you.